Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be chatting today with you about your new show on Screambox. How are you guys
Hi.
feeling about it? How are you feeling? What are the feelings right now before this hits Screambox?
We are so excited. We were very, very nervous. First of all, thank
Yes,
you for having us.
absolutely.
We just finished fawning over you before we hit record. We were very nervous because it's our first baby that's kind of getting a wide release, and
Yeah.
but then we've been talking to people who've seen early episodes, and they've been very excited, and so we are feeling now very excited. How
Yeah.
about you, Dennis?
Well, first of all, yes, thank you for having us. We're stoked. You were like I said off air, you were like one of the people that I first sent this to. I was like, we got to talk to MB.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much. We're really excited to talk to you, and we are
Mhm.
really excited about the show. It's funny because we set out to do something, and everyone who's seen it like gets it, and they're in it, and that is a very exciting thing. It's nerve wracking because we haven't even got our first official review yet, but we're getting like really good reaction from the screeners.
Yeah.
So scared
So
Yay.
excited.
shitless and also really excited.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes, the filmmaker way. Why do we?
Yeah.
I don't
Perpetual fear.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Perpetual fear. We
uh,
love to live in fear all the time.
uh,
But
Yeah.
so I love that it's a show because I feel like a lot of television these days is like very polished, very prestige, very like HBO Max, and seeing a lower budget TV show is like very rare, I feel like. But I'm glad we are getting it. I feel like you don't think about indie low budget horror in the TV space or like in the
mhm.
episodic space, I guess is a better way to put it. So was this always thought of to be episodic, to be a show? Did it start as a movie and become something else? Can you kind of tell me how you landed on the episodic format for this story in particular?
Sure. Well, it all started with a short film that we did called Lonely Hearts, and that caught the attention of people over at Screambox because I had
Okay.
submitted it for Bloody Bites, and they like it went up. They loved it, and we met a wonderful guy named Tony Wash who was he was our supervising producer on the show, and what happened was is Brad and Tom over at Bloody Disgusting and Screenbox were like, we really want to start doing like series with the Bloody Bites filmmakers. So here's a budget. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And they were like,
nice.
here's a budget. Go find some people that would be willing to work within that budget and make a show. So most everyone said
Wait,
no
that's so
because
cool.
It
Wait,
was
that's
yeah.
so rad.
crazy.
Sorry, I just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
love when that happens for
No.
like filmmakers where it's like, hey, we want you to do this, and you're like,
Right.
thank you.
Well,
It's so
and
cool.
It's
it's so funny
awesome.
because it very much mirrors what happened with you with bystanders
Yep.
because you had this opportunity through Dread Central and they were like make your movie, right? And like you said in an interview, if I don't take this opportunity, I'm fucked. Like I
Yep.
got to take this opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, you said that and it was much more eloquent the way you said it, but the way I say it is that. So that's what we said. We were like, we have to take this opportunity. I said to Bethany, I was like, look, we can do this with a two-person crew. Like I know how to shoot everything by myself and like do everything by myself. So let's just take it because this is our chance. This is our opportunity. What else are we gonna do, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so we were the ones that won the pitch because we also said we'd work within the budget and we saw the opportunity and so we started developing with our writer who's amazing. His
Yeah.
name is Will Rogers. We were writing a feature with him, but had nothing to do with Tessa. It was a completely different feature. It was like a super ultra low budget. But we brought him on board because I was like, there's no way I can do everything. We have to have writers, like all three of us should be writing this thing and he should be the head writer. And we started coming up with, we came up with three pitches and Tessa was the one we landed on. It was originally called A Noise in the Attic. And then they were like, yeah,
Ooh.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
I
title was the
love.
first thing we had, I think, and then we like
yeah.
pitched the title to Will, and then Will was like, "I can fill in some gaps,"
Right.
and then eventually the noise moved to the basement, and it became a different thing. But
Yeah. And we had to
yeah,
figure out, okay, well, we have to use our rental home. Like, we can't, and we have to use the surrounding area. So let's just write everything around that. And Tessa was sort of the easiest thing to write with what we had. So
Oh, yeah.
we just
Okay.
like went for it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like, and I say this all the time, and it's probably annoying to people who watch this, but like, I love and hate that. Where like, I love that you could do it, and then I hate that you have a small budget. But like, also,
Yeah.
I also feel like at the same time, it is really impressive to see how many of us are able to pull this off with such little money? And like, it's so amazing that you have a whole TV show. It's how many episodes? Six?
Six,
Six,
yeah.
yeah, six like 22-minute episodes between
So
20 and
cool.
22 minutes. So it's like 2.5 hours of
Yeah.
like it's almost 2.5 hours of
Yeah.
I hate content, but of like material
Of
of
story.
Yeah,
story.
of
And so
story.
like yeah, when we made it, when we were at the last edit, Bethany was like, "Have you timed everything?" Because she had like calculated everything. I was like, "No." And she goes, "You just did 2.5 hours
Just
almost
made
of
a
it." I was like, "Oh my
movie.
god, we
Yeah.
like made like a 2.5 hour movie."
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually enjoyed. I want to do features, but I loved working in the episodic space. It was really fun to
Cool. Yeah,
do
I was
like
gonna
the
ask how
cliffhangers
that
and
was
stuff.
different, like what that was like and how it felt different um from working in like the sh like in the more films. Like I know short films, but still like that episodic space. What was that like for both of you as writers, directors, producers, and even editing and making and figuring out the edit?
I mean, I think that one of the things that Will was so wonderful at was figuring out how the episodes were going to end because he's so good at cliffhangers. So
Okay.
we would have like the general story we wanted to tell over the season, and then we over meetings sort of spliced it up into sections, and then Will would figure out how to get us from episode to episode in a way that made people want to stick around. And
Oh.
I think the thing that I really enjoyed about it is the chance then it feels a little bit like you have someone holding either wall so that you can kind of dance and play in the middle. So like you have this amount of time to do kind of all this stuff instead of worrying about an entire whole of a movie. It's like, no, we just have to do this part of the story right now. And so it allows you a little bit more freedom to put everything else aside and just focus on right now we're filming these scenes from this episode. And I
Yeah.
think it was nice. It was a
Yeah.
nice focus.
And then what we did
Cool.
was we would volleyball the scripts back and forth because Will is very good at certain things and we're very good at writers at certain things. So what Bethany and I wanted to make sure of was that every single character has an arc, even the smallest character, in the show
Yeah.
that pops up should have even like a mini arc. And we in terms of like editing, like you said, I had to sort of because I edited everything. I had to sort of find rhythm, and make sure that we were doing exposition in a different way where it wasn't just dumps. And when we did have exposition dumps, Will was really careful about how to put it in and that it happened naturally, not just like sort of out of nowhere. So in the editing phase, that was really interesting to sort of build up and then come down and then build up and then come down. So each episode sort of
Oh,
has to have these crescendos and
cool.
then you come
Yeah.
down and then you can sort of talk for a minute and then then something brings it back up to this big height and then you can calm down and like sort of take a breather,
Yeah.
and like listen to some dialogue and just sort of sit back and let the story unfold. And it was cool because we wanted to piece it together like pieces of a mystery as it's unfolding. So it was like the finding that rhythm really, 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 really helped to, I don't know, just sort of get this correct pacing of everything because you could very
Yeah.
easily lose someone in 20
Yeah.
minutes to 22 minutes. So we were
Oh,
like, we
yes.
got to hang on to every like every moment counts, every moment in these 20 to 22 minutes counts. So let's make it interesting to either look at or listen to or have an element of story, but never like take your foot off the gas kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there's also some found footage elements here, which I am obviously a huge found footage freak. And I've only seen the first two episodes. So I've seen obviously the first couple of tapes and like were like little flashes of tapes, heard some of the recordings. How did you guys approach the found footage? I'm assuming that comes into play, obviously, even more as the
Yeah.
show goes on. So was it, wow, my brain really kind of stopped working there for a hot second. But like in tackling found footage, one, are you found footage fans? And two, how did you kind of conceptualize and tackle that aspect, like kind of the movie within the TV show itself? Because that's a whole,
Yeah.
it's like it's not even like you're just making that story. You have to then create that other one, which I feel like is
Yeah.
so fascinating and also a bit of a challenge. So I'd love to hear about that process from y'all too.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when we started and we were coming up with ideas for what we wanted the show to be, we
Yeah.
sort of brain dumped all of the things that we love in horror. And so one of the very first things was found footage. We love found footage. There's something so special about it. I know you're a big Blair Witch fan. Our head writer Will is hell yeah. Will is a huge Blair Witch fan. He worked on the Blair Witch box for Hunt a Killer. Like
sick, cool.
He's great. And so found footage was a big part of it. We love the idea of coming upon analog media, like in a basement. It's super creepy. We love a library. We love a research scene. We love microfiche. So it's like all of these things. And then it really became, we literally had a giant piece of plywood that had the story on it. And the found footage story was a certain color of like Post-it notes so that we could look and see, okay, this is the part, because the found footage story isn't told in order in the episodes. So in order for us to know what part of this story we were dealing with, we had to be able to look at the board and go, okay, this is the part of the pink story that is currently being told to kind of help.
We still
keep it all
have
straight.
that board
It's
downstairs.
huge.
Yeah.
It's like it's like 10 feet across. It's so stupidly big.
Hell yeah. I love that it's a board. It's like a plywood piece of plywood. I love that.
I realized afterwards that Final Draft, you can just do that in Final Draft.
But it's
I was
more
like,
fun to do it physically, like just
except but that's my thing too. I love having like the physical thing, and like you can like look at it while you're drinking your coffee and just standing there kind of staring at it. Contemplatively for a couple minutes in the morning.
With red string connecting things like it's a
Charlie Day
story.
meme where he's like this and he's just like pointing at it. Yeah.
A cigarette dangling out of your mouth. You're like, I don't even smoke, but I need to have one.
So it was like it had to be very analog for us, at least for me, because I need to see things in front of me. I'm not great digitally. And so having those two different timelines physically laid out was really, really helpful.
Yeah, and
cool.
We always wanted, like, I love in a movie when someone finds just a box of tapes. Like it always, like, Clute fascinates me, like, and there's a lot of Clute in this, especially when Tessa's listening to the tapes. And we love found footage. One of our favorites recently is Final Prayer or Borderlands.
That movie's
that ending, holy shit.
I watched that movie so long ago, and no one had ever heard of it. So I was like, I have to sit with this by myself. And now people, now people have watched it. I'm like, hi, welcome to my hell. This movie has haunted me for years.
Yes.
The last few lines of that movie really did something to me in a way that things have not in a long time. That movie messed me up.
It still haunts me. Oof. And then the other one, interestingly enough, was because there are more audio tapes than there are videotapes in this. So we were like, okay, that's cool. Like, that's a new kind of medium to sort of bring in, and how do we make it interesting? And how do we tell a story while Tessa's listening to tapes, which was I had to, like, sort of go, okay, because in the script it was like, Tessa's listening to this, and I'm like, all right, what can we do over this visually? But one of the movies that I watched in advance was it's the movie. And MB, you probably know exactly what it is. It's the movie that's told through stills about a zombie attack on a town.
Savage Land.
Savage Land.
Best.
Awesome. It's so underrated. It is so good. And I'm like, why did this movie go so under the radar? It is such a great movie. It's so great.
It's so cool. But it's cool that I love that. That was like a cool reference point for you, though, in figuring out the best way to, like, visually not be boring during audio. That is hard. It's hard to, like, think about. You're like, wait, shit.
Yeah. It's that and a lot of David Fincher, because a lot of Fincher is also just like watching people process things. And so
Zodiac. Zodiac is a big reference because that's a lot of phone calls. If you want to ever study like, I mean, we have rows and rows of Blu-rays and DVDs, and that's all I did was just pull out every single movie that has a phone call in it, right? All the President's Men, freaking Zodiac has the most phone calls I've ever seen in a movie, and Fincher loves an exposition dump during a phone call. It's amazing. He loves it, and I love it. And I'm like, oh, this is great. So it's like, okay, this is how you rhythmically do a phone call, and then just when you watch movies like that, you can see how people react. When they're listening to something, it's about their reaction. It's about what you are sort of imagining in your head as the
Hmm.
character's imagining it. So you're having like this sort of visceral experience with the character. And so that's what we were, or I was trying to do
Yeah.
visually as we were, watching Tessa listen to tapes.
Yeah. Which I
Yeah.
think, yeah, it was tough, but I think that it was a really fun challenge.
Cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, and I love the editing at the beginning where it kind of feels like a noir movie a little bit. There's like got these like little
Yeah.
noir elements in here, especially with like kind of the quick editing and the quick getting you in there and like and then also the way Tessa dresses is just like the most androgynous little like detective, and I
Yeah.
love that, and I love that, and I would love to hear about just creating Tessa's character and like
Mm.
what that was like, create shaping her and then finding the right person to bring her to life.
Tessa is amazing. Tessa is, for me as a filmmaker, the character that I have. I know that I'll have Tessa for years and want to tell their story for years. And it was an amazing progression because of Katie, our lead, who is absolutely
Oh,
phenomenal in this film.
I'm obsessed with them.
I met Katie when, at the time, they were identifying as female, so she was going as she, so I'll refer to her as she at this point. But I met her a while when she was 18, and then we were doing a student film. I was DPing a student film, and
Oh,
I saw them, and I was like, you are unbelievable on like the camera loves you. You're really natural. Like you're very good with your, you know, just your motions and emotions and
Yeah.
everything. And so I was like, I'm going to work with you one day. And as I'm reading Tessa, I'm looking at Bethany and I'm like, this is Katie. This is, and I got to get Katie to do this. And we reached out. Katie was like, hell yeah, I want to be the lead in this show. So we're like, great.
And we were like, you're going to have to live with us to save money. And they
Yeah.
were like, hell yeah, I'll live with you and I'll, sleep on your floor.
And they told us, hey, I no longer go by she, but I'll play female if you need me to. And we were like, great. But the most interesting thing was, and I can't speak on Katie's queerness, that's for them to
yeah.
talk about, but it affected us and it affected them as we were progressing the show. Katie was like, hey, I think Tessa is queer, and I was like, great, let's roll with it. Like and then everything in the show started taking on a different meaning, and because as the show goes on, it progressively kind of gets darker and darker. And so there's so much stuff that's about to come up that as a queer person, Katie was like, this is so fucked up. Like, this is so fucked up
Yeah.
now that Tessa is queer.
Yeah.
And so it was a really amazing journey, both like personally and artistically. And after working with Katie, I have such a respect and a love for them as an actor and as a person because they grew so much during this process and they helped us grow as filmmakers. And it ignited a love for me that I've always had a love for the queer community, but even more so when you work with someone that is so affected by the work. And Tessa is flawed, but you don't hate them.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, they're not a detestable person. They do things because of a reason. They make stupid decisions because of a reason. And that was one of the most fun things about Tessa and exploring the character was like, okay, we're writing a horror show and people make dumb decisions in horror, but let's have a reason why.
Everything had to be justified and grounded in something people would actually do.
And so we grounded it in
Okay.
Tessa's, we grounded it in Tessa's OCD, which I have. So a lot of
Me
that,
too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Diagnosed.
So like when you watch Tessa,
Yeah, I
it's like,
know. Diagnosis, not just
Right, yeah,
things.
diagnosis.
Yeah.
so when you
Anyway.
watch Tessa, as a person who has OCD and you watch Tessa, you're like, yeah, that's what I would do. I wouldn't be able to stop. Like I can't stop digging, and like that's what Tessa's doing is they're digging.
Yeah.
And so it's like they can't stop, and even if they're faced with danger, they're gonna keep running towards it because they got to figure this thing out, or else they won't be able to sleep at night. So long story long, Tessa was one of the most amazing characters to play around with.
Hell yeah, I love that though. I love like being able to spend so much time with that character and getting to love that character and also maybe one day writing more. I don't know if you wrote, I won't ask if you wrote it to be a second season, but who knows? Who knows?
I mean, look, we would love to do a second season. So
I have it. I have the
yeah,
idea. I
it's
can't
it's
say much about it, but I
Yeah.
have.
yeah, it's planned. So
Mhm.
we just hope, we would love to have that chance.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'll try to be as non-spoiler as possible, but this is Tessa's This is Tessa's origin story. This is Batman Begins. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
totally Batman
Okay.
Begins, where they're making mistakes, they're learning their craft as a detective, they're not winning every battle, but they're gonna get better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I can
We don't
say.
throw them into a well with bats, though. So
No.
we wanted to. The budget wasn't there for it.
Didn't have a bat budget. Didn't have the bat
That's-
budget. Darn.
They're expensive, those bats. So it's tough.
They got a lot of requirements in their rider. They need a lot of
do.
things on set to make them comfortable.
Oh my God.
Those bat handlers.
Oh
you know?
my
Those
God.
bad handlers. Well, can you tell everyone when the show is coming out, where it's coming, where people can find it, and when it's going to be, new episodes will be out? Can you tell us?
Yes. So it is coming out on Screambox, which you can get on your Roku, on Amazon, all of your things. The first 2 episodes drop on July 15th, and then every Tuesday after for 2 more weeks. So 3 weeks total, 6 episodes. So I think it's the 22nd and then the 29th, and by then you'll have all of them. And yeah, so we're meeting them out a third at a time, and we're psyched. We want people to come to this weird little town and experience a place where there's no Wi-Fi and there's a siren that blares every night. And it's a very bizarre and lived in place that we're really excited for people to come.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
sort of like figure out the mystery alongside
Yeah.
Tessa.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you both so much for chatting with me about the show and about Tessa. I'm really excited for everyone to see it. I'm excited to see what happens because I need to know more. So
Thank you so much.
can't wait
Thank
to
you
see
so
how this
much.
all turns out. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.